Hello, everyone. This is Rick Latona, and I am not joined by Kathy Ross. I'm joined by the real owner, Whitney Anderson. Whitney, thanks for making it work.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Actually, Kathy is the owner. However, I was the former CEO of Mother Nature, which was the parent's company. So
Ah,
I am sort of equally sort of familiar with IMED and can answer any questions.
okay, great. Um, so before we get started, if anybody else is having audio problems, we want to give them a chance to read this, and just to let everyone else know, if you have any questions, please use the GoToMeeting software to ask the questions. Just type them right there in that question box. I will ask them at the appropriate time or at the end of the presentation, but I will get them asked. And the deal we're working on is obvious. It's a premium domain, obviously, something with some history, and but it still has $36,000 in profit every year. We'll get more into that later. Um, Whitney, I think the way we like to start these out is if you could just kind of just tell everybody the history of it. When it start, what it is, when it started, why it started, what's happened. Walk us through it.
Sure. IMED's a medical supply site. It started out in about 2006. We at MotherNature.com, which is a company I used to run for about 8 years, we were vitamin and supplement specialists, and were a fast-growing company. Grew it to 20, 30 million bucks, and IMED was one of the two additional areas that we were interested in branching into. Medical supplies was one, and OTC was the second. On the medical supply side, we partnered up with one of the biggest distributors in the business. We were able to work out a pretty good deal back in 2006. We never paid a huge amount of attention to IMED because our focus was on Mother Nature. Although the company was, it was a fine little business. It kind of ran itself for a long time, and we were always planning on, at some stage, focusing more of attention and using it to help us continue on our 40, 50% annualized growth rates. So we ended up selling Mother Nature about 2 years ago, in early 2012. And IMED, because it was sold to a big vitamin company, IMED was not essentially an orphaned asset, and it's again sort of run itself for the past year and a half, 2 years. It requires maybe an hour a day or so, and we scaled it back to just so that it could continue on. We didn't want to let it go dark because it was a great company, great concept, growing, fast-growing industry. But at the end of the day, it's something for, it's an ideal property because it's 100%, essentially infinitely scalable, and really requires just a little love from an owner, which is something that we haven't been able to provide it.
And the how many distributors are you working with, or fulfillment companies?
Yeah, it's really one. I mean, we have a backup distributor, but it's one primary distributor that we work with, and they do really somewhere between 95, 98. I mean, it should be 100% of the fulfillment if they're ever, they're very good. They have about 98% fulfillment rates. If they're special orders, sometimes we can go out to alternative distributors. There are a couple that are, would be happy to work with us. But again, it just takes a little bit of extra work. It adds a little bit of extra complexity. And right now, we've managed it to require an absolute minimum amount of time and effort, and little to no cost. So that's why, as we speak, we're going to have a Google AdWords program, because it's one of those things that if you don't look at it every day, at least for a couple minutes, it has the potential to run away from you. So because of that, we literally have a very minimal marketing effort as it stands today. And but it's got great potential, and it's a nice business as it stands now.
And what are the margins like with this stuff?
Well, we mark it up so that the product margins are 28%, on average. Um, to date, the shipping costs have been we were being charged about $12, a little over $12 a package, which we just renegotiated. And we renegotiated down to a flat rate of $6. So it's one of those things again. Unfortunately, it's been a little neglected. The relationships have
That's
been
for any size package or your average package?
average package. Well, no, it's actually every size except for
Beds.
adult underpads. Yeah, the big beds, the big mechanical, durable medical equipment. It's the exception, but that's 98% of our orders will now go from a $12.80 average down to a $6 average, and it's just one of those things. We should have negotiated this a while back, but we didn't, and the distributor was happy to work with us both on the ship cost and on the product costs. So it dropped.
What is the number one selling item?
Uh, Liquid nutrition is probably the number one. I mean, so the Nestle's and the Ensures, that product category has always been very good. Um,
Interesting. So that's a consumable. So you get
yeah,
repeat customers with those?
correct. Uh, yeah, and no single product accounts for more than maybe 1% of sales, so it's sort of a broadly distributed thing, which is great. We have no problem with because there are no specific warehousing and inventory costs, no real fulfillment costs other than the ship cost associated with each order. So being able to pick and pack out of somebody else's inventory and be able to offer 20,000 products is great. Um, and so we're happy with sort of the longer tail, not super competitive products that we offer on IMED.
Sure. So I'm going to show a couple slides that you sent me. Just tell us what we're looking at here.
Okay.
Do you see it on your screen?
Let's see. I'm still on the intro screen. Is it the your,
I advance to the next screen.
okay? Give me 1 second. Does everybody else see it having moved
I'm,
forward?
I, I don't know. We're just gonna have to. Well, let's see. I've got somebody else throwing a question mark up here. Let's see what they're saying. No, they're saying it's the same screen too. Hmm. Okay, it should be blue bars. The loyalty.
Okay. Well, I guess as you bring that up, on the loyalty front,
Yeah, I'm
I've
gonna
run
stop.
probably.
I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, and I'm gonna share my screen again. All right. How about
Okay,
now?
there we go.
Is
Yep,
it work? You
looks
see
good.
it?
Yep.
All right.
So this shows the breakout of the trailing 12 months orders by number of purchases by purchaser. So this is sort of what we track as the loyalty metric, and this shows that purchasers, um, that most orders that we receive are from repeat purchasers. In general, it's about only one-time purchasers account for 32% of all sales, and the balance are accounted by repeat purchasers, which indicates usually it's about from all the e-commerce companies that I've run in the past. My experience is sort of the opposite, that you get maybe 2/3 one-time purchasers and 1/3 repeat purchasers. In this case, it's there's an indication of a very strong and loyal customer base. So, which is very likely to be the most important asset, is that you get a group of just incredibly loyal customers that come back, and it's not on any given day it's not uncommon to see a customer who's ordered 75 times from MyMed making another purchase.
And none of this is a continuity program. You're not doing any auto billing. They're going to the site and placing new orders.
There is a continuity program that we launched, I don't know, a couple of years back, but that maybe accounts for 4 or 5% of sales. In general, these people are coming in and placing their own new order, often for stuff that they placed before, but sometimes not.
Hmm. Where's your distributor located?
They have about 10 different warehouses across. So we have a plan with them where we have optimized the program so that it's delivered from the closest warehouse to the customer, by zip and by availability.
Hmm. All right, and help me understand. I just want to make sure I understand this. So the average order total is the dollar size of the order.
Right. So it's $81 on average. You can see that the 3 times plus purchasers order more than the first time purchasers. First time purchasers in the
Oh,
60s,
got
and
it. So people who have bought three or more times on average spend $95,
right,
where everybody else spends around $68.
right,
And on the bottom, you're showing the percentage of total sum of order.
right. So that's the percentage of orders on any given day. This is roughly, you get roughly 2/3 of all purchasers uh, being repeat purchasers, most of whom have ordered more 3 or more times.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And that 100% is just checking your math. Those three numbers add up to
Yep.
100%.
Right.
Got it. So 57, 58% of your orders are repeat orders.
Are 3 times plus repeat orders.
Got it. Um,
So obviously the whole lifetime value. I mean, if that's how you assess your marketing programs, you can count on people. I think on average, the repeat purchasers order about 9 times. So if you're doing a lifetime value assessment, when you acquire a new customer, then it's worth the cash flow times about 9 average orders. So it's
right.
pretty solid.
Until you factor in the time value. So
Yep.
what, okay, well, first off, do you see the next screen?
Yep.
All right. So what are we looking at now?
So this is a breakdown of corporate or institutional buyers versus individual buyers. Because IMED's been around and because it's got a lot of hard-to-find items in its product catalog, we actually got a far greater than expected group of institutional buyers, and these institutions range from small nursing homes all the way up to state prison systems. So literally, who have a discretionary um, spend at the end of each year. They go on and they'll buy bed underpads and whatever else. They'll put in orders. They're allowed to order up to $5,000. Government agencies just on their own with a credit card. So it's a really the interesting point from this is that of the 30% of the purchasing pool, there's a huge opportunity which we've never taken advantage of, which is to really just call and sort of nurture the relationships with these bigger institutions, because the bigger institutions have, I mean, we're getting a tiny, tiny fraction of their total spend on medical supplies. So, a nursing home might spend, or $10 million a year on medical supplies. They might only be putting in, $5,000 with IMED. But if you
And
can,
how many institutions or how many individuals are we talking about? Like what's the size of the customer base?
so the active customer base, let's say, is around 10,000 people for the past.
So
Uh,
3,000 institutions and
right,
7,000 individuals.
right. Most of the individuals are possibly caring for a chronically ill parent or something along those lines. I mean, those also uh, lend to the very high repeat purchase rates. And the institutions, they're probably are about 3,000, every single one of which can almost, you can guarantee that is spending a lot more on medical supplies than what they're spending with us. So just having a simple program to reach out to those people would probably be, a very profitable endeavor.
Got it. So here's your analytics screenshot, right?
Yep,
Yeah, analytics for e-commerce. So tell us what we're looking
yep.
at.
Well, this is very simply, we sent out the first newsletter last week. Kathy did first newsletter uh, to the existing customer, the email list of about 40,000 people since November 15th. So that's sort of the level at which the marketing program has been neglected or put off. Is that even the simple, mass newsletters announcing a 5% St. Patty's Day sale was the first to have gone out in 4 months, and clearly it's got it bumps. It's an easy way to bump revenue and purchasing. So that's that. With a little bit of effort, a couple of new channels opening up, will have a big impact on sales and profitability.
Okay. And okay, let me move forward actually. All right. What I was going to say with the on the on the ad campaigns that you're doing, you said you are doing some, just the ones that are easy to manage.
I think that it's limited to a very occasional newsletter, and there's a share sale program. I know that wasn't funded for a long time, so it probably went 4 months without.
So you're not actively
Um,
buying any AdWords campaigns at all.
and there are a handful, maybe 10 keywords, probably all IMED related, on Microsoft's Bing pay-per-click platform. I think that's it.
Interesting. Okay. All right. So and then here's our revenue graph.
Yeah, in the last 2 months, February and oh no, I'm sorry, December and February. February, and this is again a sign of how much attention the site gets, unfortunately. So we'll start at the most recent months. In February, we had the SSL certificate expired, and so we lost 5 days of revenue before we actually realized that there was an issue. So we replaced that. So we fixed it. Revenues have bounced back to January levels for March. And then in December, it's based on orders shipped. We were gone. Management was on vacation in December, so that's why a lot of it was kind of pushed out. Either we didn't fill some of the orders, or they were filled late. So and then going backwards, you can see back in May of last year was the last time. May, June, and July were the last months where there was any sort of real marketing being conducted, and you can see it. And it makes a difference. The spend was roughly break even, a little bit less than break even. So if let's say on a 20% margin net of credit card fees, and if our cash flow margin was about 20%, if you invest $1 into the advertising programs that the Google AdWords that are paused, they're there, but they're paused. $1 invested roughly gets you $5 in sales. $5 in sales roughly gets you $1 in cash flow. It fell a little bit under that, so maybe it was getting us 90% in cash flow, 90 cents in cash flow, and so we turned those off. It wasn't worth the amount of effort if we weren't going to be, unless we were going to be building this long term, which was sort of a strategic decision. So back, you can see in May, June, July, with some marketing effort, you have the ability to spike revenues pretty substantially, but it's just something that was more effort than we were capable of putting in at the time.
Okay. And this.
These are the associated expenses. So the expenses, you can see we were spending $2,500 back then, and we stopped that expense, and therefore the remaining expenses really are just a little bit of marketing for share a sale, maybe $50 a month or something along those lines, a little bit to Microsoft's Bing pay-per-click, and to an Amazon web hosting account, which is just, I believe, a medium instance, on Amazon's AWS service where the site resides.
Okay. And walk us through a day in the life running this business. What do you do in a typical day?
Uh, because the orders are turned around so quickly, generally within 24 hours, occasionally, the 98% that are filled are usually filled very quickly. And very fully. So the 2% that don't get filled, which is only, a couple a week, are, do cause customer service, uh, questions back and forth. So that's really the biggest thing is just to make sure that the customer service inquiries are taken care of, and then secondly, just making sure that orders are going back and forth, order transactional communications are going back and forth between the warehouse smoothly, and that there are no, you know, that oddball orders like orders that people try to send to PO boxes, which UPS doesn't support, are you get a physical address or some simple things like that, and that's literally it. I mean, it's so maybe it's an hour a day on average over the past couple of weeks. So hopefully a buyer would be able to pump a little bit of time into it, spend more time on the marketing side and the growth side, which right now is not
Well,
being done.
dude, you're skipping ahead of me. That kind of goes to the next
Oh,
thing. If a new buyer,
sorry.
yeah, no,
Uh,
it's okay. I was just messing with you. If a new buyer came to you and said, what can I do to improve this? What had you always wanted to do but never got around to do it? You didn't either have the time or the resources to do. What did you dream that this site could become? How would you answer that question?
yeah, those would be all very good questions. And there's a lot of low-hanging fruit. So, if the buyer has some expertise in online marketing, I would immediately go out to all the comparison shopping engines. I'd make sure that the a lot of the products that are unique to the site, let's say half of the products are truly unique. Amazon doesn't carry them, nobody else carries them. Those are marketed in through every channel. The ones that are marketed could certainly be, that are marketed elsewhere and others have, could be repriced. We've never played around with any of the pricing to be competitive. It's just a straight cost plus 28%. And then the institutional buyers who spend the most money in a year are the ones that that should be just sort of old-fashioned relationship management, where you start send them something nice, maybe give them a free gift in the orders, do something for for these guys, because the spends are astronomically high. They're spending billions of dollars on medical supplies, and they simply just need to be nurtured.
Right. All right. And why are you and Kathy selling this?
Well, it's something we've run big e-commerce companies. We know what it means to start with a small one and grow it into a big one. It does take effort to get, in my opinion, it sort of takes the same amount of effort to get from 0 to 1 million bucks in sales as it does to get from 1 million to 10 million. And it's not nothing. I mean, you have to be committed to it. You have to live and breathe it, and that's something we've done. And we are on to other things now. I'm running a software company now, so I I can't do it, and I've chosen specifically not to go back through the e-commerce growth effort, as has Kathy. But that being said, if I were to pick any one of the e-commerce companies and sectors that I've ever seen or touched, this probably would be the best sector.
So you still
Everything's
you
sort
still
of,
believe in medical supplies?
yeah, everything's in flux, and anytime there's this kind of chaos in the medical and in healthcare in general, there are huge opportunities to displace whoever is, whoever has the market share right now. So, given a good brand, given a, very, good product catalog, uh, and given a good platform like this one, with a loyal customer base, I mean, really can do, great things in the medical supplies industry.
So I've been asking those questions as they've been coming in. I do have one interesting one left here at the end. Um, we talked about these 30% that are institutions and 70% that are individuals. What kind of information do you have on them? Do you have any kind of customer relationship management software, any CRM, anything?
We've never, no, I mean, all we get is the information that they, they submit in the order.
And what do they
So,
submit?
well, just the name, the address, the name of the company or institution, telephone numbers, email addresses, that type of thing.
Okay. Okay. And you have a record of how many purchases each of those made.
Yep.
So somebody could put together a makeshift CRM with that.
Yes.
All right. Well, you did great. We're done. If anyone has more questions, the listing broker on this site is Adam Beebe. You can email adam@latonas.com. Of course, my door is always open. I'm Rick at latonas.com. I'm happy to help. But, Whitney, especially a big thank you to you for taking the time to do this with us. And
Yep.
thank you,
My
everyone, for
pleasure.
joining.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Bye bye.
All right, bye.